I've been wearing barefoot shoes for 3 years now, and honestly, there's some good and there's some bad to it, and I'm gonna go over it in this video, so stick around. If you like primal footwear, you need to get barefoot shoes, and there's plenty of reason for this about the natural feeling of a shoe. The basic logic is that if you're wearing shoes in the first place, the normal shoe you have now, sneakers, Nike, the normal shoe you see everyone wear, the problem is that it's like a cast. When you break your arm, you wear a cast, right? You let it heal, but eventually you have to get rid of the cast itself in order for your arm to regain the intended purpose that it's supposed to have. Footwear itself is like a cast on your foot forever. It protects your foot from obvious stuff like sharp objects on the floor, from sharp rocks, from glass, stuff like that, the cushion from hitting the concrete, but at the same time, it is making all those smaller muscles in your foot weaker over time. The shoe I've been wearing right now is from Vivo Barefoot. It's right here. I believe it's the Primus Light 3. You can see the design. It's a pretty wide shoe. It has a wide toe box for the purpose that your toes are able to spread naturally instead of being clumped up. They are in normal footwear that you see every day. And this shoe specifically, it does okay at that. The shoes I had before, which I believe were just the Primus 2s, had a wider toe box, and I think that's because I got a size larger than what I am for normal shoes. And you can see the design right here. It still has traction and stuff like that, but it is a barefoot shoe, which means that it has literally no cushion underneath it to give yourself a natural feeling. It's supposed to protect you from glass and needles and stuff like that, but you're gonna feel everything else, including concrete, sharp rocks, everything else that your foot lands on. And I'll show you right here. It's extremely bendable. You can bend it any way you want because it literally has no structure. It's supposed to be your natural footwear. And obviously you can tell that I like this product because I've been wearing it for 3 years straight. But I will say, you have to have a specific mindset when it comes to the whole idea of this, or else you're not going to enjoy it. When I first started wearing them, it hurt for 3 months walking around. I walked around my college campus, which of course is mostly concrete, and my feet hurt so bad. But I understood it's because I've been wearing shoes my whole life in any other instance besides when I walk around maybe my yard barefoot, right? So it took me 3 months to get adjusted to this, and these shoe companies that sell barefoot shoes tell you exactly that before you buy it. They tell you you're gonna have to work out your feet in certain ways, and they provide you exercise courses so that you can get used to and build up the smaller muscles in your foot that you're obviously lacking. And it's a great feeling to get back to that primal sense of how your body's supposed to function. It does really make you feel like you're walking correctly, especially for me. I knew that when I wore normal shoes, the heel lift itself made it feel like I was walking on something that wasn't natural. And maybe you're getting that feeling too with your normal shoes. But you start to realize, oh, when I do walk naturally, when I am barefoot, there may be something wrong. You may notice that your hips are a little off, that your are pigeon-toed, or your basically where your knees go inward or outward, your feet point inward or outward, and you will really notice that at first. And if you don't work hard enough to improve that at the beginning, you may notice that those problems actually get worse. So at the same time, you're going to notice that your feet are getting a lot stronger in those smaller muscles, and it's an enjoyable process if that's your intention for getting those shoes. If you're someone that doesn't really care about having your feet work naturally, then you're going to hate this experience. You're going to hate the experience of the shoes because they're not doing what you intended them to do. Now, even with this primal sense of a natural walk and rhythm and feeling that you're getting from the shoe after a long time, you are going to realize, you know what, the modern world isn't meant to be barefoot all the time. I wore these shoes for a job where I had to walk 8 hours a day, and I was way more tired than the average person because I had no cushion in my shoe. But that's something that I chose as a trade-off. So you have to remember that that's going to happen in your case if you decide to stick with a shoe. Another thing is that if you get this shoe, you're not going to want to go back. That wider toe box, that feeling of mobility is something that is going to feel like you're constricted if you go back. You're going to feel like your toes are hitting the sides of your shoe or the top of your shoe, and they're going to feel like you're back in a cast. And anyone that's broken a bone knows a cast isn't that comfortable. Now, imagine you just realized you're in a cast now, or you were in a cast your whole life, and then you broke that cast off, and now you have to get it back on. That's the feeling you're going to get if you go back to natural shoes. And I've tried wearing normal shoes during this process to see if I would enjoy it again. And while the cushion is nice, it just feels so unnatural that I can't stick with it. And I already had the mindset that I wanted this for the natural feel. In fact, I went to such an extent that when the shoes came, they have a 2mm sole inside the shoe as the most minimal cushion possible. And I decided to take that out. And the first pair, I wore them so much that my big toe broke through the fabric on top, and they looked extremely trashy. And then I had to get these shoes, and even these, inside of it, which you can't really see, is like starting to wear down, and I'm gonna have to buy new ones, and I will get barefoot shoes again. Now, this isn't being barefoot, of course, so it's still going to have some sort of artificial problem, and that is when you're hiking itself. Like I said with the concrete, you do get tired more easily than the average person. You also aren't going to be taking as large of strides in terms of how far your foot is going away from your body when you walk, because you no longer have that cushion on your heel when you press down and to continue walking, right? And with this shoe, you're going to notice that the heel strike becomes a lot more dangerous, as in you're going to feel way more of it. And because of that, when you go hiking, you're going to spend a lot more energy with mentally, maybe not even mentally, it's not really conscious, but just trying to put your feet in the right position for the most comfortable space they can be in according to the environment. Right now, plenty of parks in Texas have limestone rocks all over the trail, right? And that is not comfortable to step on. If parks around you are completely dirt, then you're going to actually enjoy the experience a lot. But for most parks, it's usually big-sized rocks that you're stepping on the whole way through the trail. And you are going to notice that you're spending a lot more energy moving side to side, avoiding the large rocks, not trying to step on sharp objects that you're going to feel hit your foot. And of course, it's bearable, but you're going to feel it, and it's going to hurt slightly. That's a natural function of walking. We don't have hooves, right? So that's something to consider. And I know that when I'm hiking compared to people with normal hiking boots, you do notice that one, you move a lot slower because you're not putting your foot out as far, and two, you're also moving a lot slower because you are checking where you step. But that might make it a lot more enjoyable for you, knowing that you're walking as intended. And that's what I enjoy about it. It's like the fact that you're doing what's human, not what's artificially created for comfort. Because, and this is more of a deeper philosophical thing, but why would you hike in a park instead of just drive through it, right? And some people would rather drive through it, but some people would rather hike in it and feel in touch with nature more in that sense. So after 3 years of wearing it, I do 100% see the negatives of the shoe itself. But at the same time, I still enjoy that sense of primal walking that is so enjoyable to me that I'd rather stick with the shoe. Now, have I seen any problems with my feet in itself because I've worn it for so long? Not really. One, my toes did not spread as much as I think they would have. That's what a lot of people used to say about these shoes, that your toes are going to spread a lot. Honestly, not as much as I thought, but they definitely did spread, and they aren't close together like a normal person's foot because of footwear, right? They're a little bit spread. It looks a lot more natural. And also, my arch for my foot itself is definitely a lot more naturally shaped instead of flat-footed, because I have to rely on the support of the arch, which is its function, rather than an arch of the artificial shoe, which goes along with the whole cast idea, right? So there still is the idea that I had problems with my bone structure beforehand. The fact that I did have my feet pointing a little bit too outwards to begin with, and that could have been just because of the way my body developed as I grew up. And that is still a problem I consider to this day, because I haven't pointed it out specifically and worked on correcting it outside of just walking and regular exercise. If you have a serious problem where you're not walking correctly, you have to address it individually and fix it with its own process. You can't just rely on walking barefoot. You have to specify it and then work on that individual problem. But overall, I do feel like it's still worth it to wear the barefoot shoes. It will correct a lot of minuscule problems that you may have. For instance, one is balance. I think that my balance generally improved because of those small muscles building up in my shoes, or in my feet because of the shoes. Or I guess you could say because of the lack of shoes, because it's a natural shoe. So I can't wait to see what more types of shoes they have to offer in the future. I like seeing the different designs, but I also don't like one thing about these companies that are making these shoes. They have this idea that the same people that are in touch with nature have a high priority for these products being made out of recycled materials. And this may be something you agree on or you don't. I'm just sharing my personal opinion at the end of this video, right? And that is that I don't want recycled materials and plastic in my shoe. I want a high quality barefoot shoe that is made for the natural feeling of walking, not for the feeling of being green, right? I think that sharing the ability to be naturally healthy is maybe a lot more promising with a high quality material than going around saying, oh, this shoe's made out of recycled material, but it's still worth it. I don't know. That's something to consider. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. But overall, I'd say that with my experience personally, it's a 9 out of 10 sort of shoe and idea. Depending on the shoe itself, you may not like the quality of it, but overall the idea of a barefoot shoe is something that I think you should try. So hopefully these things helps you consider the overall idea of barefoot shoes and whether or not it would be worth it for you to try. But I just wanted to share my experience after 3 years of wearing them. So let me know what you think. Make sure to like the video. Peace, guys.